fairly fair trade. You can see a Thor is down, but still a lot of Marines left. These Roaches are 0-0, while these Marines have +1, so they do a lot of damage to Roaches and Mutas. Now a lot of Lings on the field, and this is looking like a very, very fair game now, because ThorZain actually got his 3rd base in, and well, his income is gonna almost match July's, and July making a lot of Banelings here. You can see there are 39 Banelings on the field with those 26 Roaches. Will do a lot of damage, but has to stay out of range of these siege tanks. They do huge damage to Roaches, 55 damage. That is 3-shot a Roach, and since Roaches clump up a lot, there is a lot of damage that can be done to these. Now these Roaches taking a few unnecessary shots, but tanking damage for the Banelings. Banelings running away, running after these Marines. Nice target fire by ThorZain, running those Marines away, while the siege tanks target the Banelings. Now a lot of Marines left for ThorZain, but is that going to be enough? You can see a lot of Roaches and Lings still on the field. Roaches are very actually decent against Marines, even though they don't have the upgrades. If there are only Marines against only Roaches, the Roaches will actually win in most of the case if there aren't just twice as many Marines as Roaches. These Roaches healing up underground with that burrow ability, very nice. But that 3rd base is still up for ThorZain. Now July actually deciding to go in the main base. These Banelings should really hit these Marines down here. Nice target fire on the Banelings again with the siege tanks, but these Roaches going into their main base will be able to clean up these last 2 siege tanks, and with only a handful of Marines and the Roaches on the high ground here, I don't know what ThorZain can do. Is he gonna hold this off? There is a lot of Roaches and still 44 Lings in production. So these Lings will be able to stream in here, surround these Marines. Now +2 done on those Marines. So the Lings won't do as much damage. 2-1 for the Lings and Banelings. So the Lings actually have better upgrades than the Marines, so they will be quite a bit more effective against them. But with those 4 medevacs, 1 still has a lot of energy on it. Now ThorZain deciding to drop, leaving these 4 Roaches in the back of his base. I don't know if that is wise. He will have to turn around to deal with this, or he will lose this armory actually. So no more Thors for ThorZain. That is quite a shame. Still on 3 bases. That 3rd base has a lot of SCV, as you can see, way too many here. But there is no more minerals left in the main base, or almost any left in the expansion. So ThorZain on 2 bases for now, almost on 1. July actually attacking in here, losing a lot to these siege tank shots. I guess he just wants to throw away a lot of units. Now targeting the planetary fortress, it does go down, and this will have to be GG for ThorZain because he has no more income. Actually 1 command center up here, almost complete, and gonna throw another one down. I don't think he should put this one down here. He should just fly it right here. Maybe it's in the shift command, so it's queued to go there. No, this SCV will start building it. Or no, he will not. I am just saying anything. Meanwhile, a nice little drop in the main base. Doesn't pick off too much though. The Spire is in the expansion. He didn't even pick off the spawning pool. The Roach Warren also at the expansion. So all the tech buildings are actually at the expansion except for the lair. Still no infestation pit for JulyZerg. Now building 6 more mutas wants to be able to deal with these drops. The mutas are out on the field. ThorZain will be forced to drop here, but with all these Roaches and Banelings waiting for him, he won't be able to do much more with these drops. And that is another big blow. You can see the orbital command from the main actually flew to the 3rd base, while that one that was building is flying towards a 4th base. But now just getting his income back, not mining gas here. I feel like this is a little blunder. He should put the guys back on gas. Actually, he has a lot of gas, so not that important. And July now on 3 mining bases. His expansion is barely mining, so that doesn't really count. He decided to leave these gases alone. Still a lot of gas left, but I guess he just forgot to put drones back in there. Those Mutalisks harassing that 4th base. These Marines will easily deny them though. Those Mutalisks have no upgrades, so they are very vulnerable to these 3-0 Marines. 3-0 Marines do huge damage. I feel though like ThorZain might want to get +1 armor just for that Glaive Worm bounce attack that denies all kind of splash damage from mutas on Marines, so that is very effective, but not that big of a deal since July only made a couple of mutas. Now, nice little army here for July. He is 20 supply ahead of his opponent ThorZain, and I am wondering when he is going to go to Hive Tech. He has to go to Hive Tech eventually, unless he feels that Banelings will be enough to do damage to these tanks. But there are 12 siege tanks on the field, so I feel like Broodlords would just wreak havoc here. And they have such good spreads that Banelings won't be able to be very effective against them. Crap load of Lings might actually be good here because there aren't that many Marines. Now stimming and coming to the rescue of this expansion. A lot of Mutalisks now on the field for JulyZerg. You can actually see 16, 17 mutas on the field, losing 2. Not that big of a deal since he does do a lot of damage, especially to these SCVs. Now ThorZain still not mining here, and July safely retreats out of the expansion. Now 2 sensor towers almost next to each other for ThorZain, trying he really wants to know when those mutas are coming, or when that attack or that bust might be coming. A little drop here, gonna get denied by July, not doing too much damage because he does manage to pull all these drones out of the way. Now July is still mining from 3 bases. You can see that income favoring ThorZain because of all those mules. He actually has 1, 2, and only 2 mules actually giving that big of an income. That you can see that mules are very, very valuable. The SCV count actually favoring ThorZain here, and he's mining from a lot of bases, but he's very spread out, and that mech army can't really do anything. And this hero turret 2 kills and being repaired by all those SCVs. July decided that it wasn't worth it. He lost a lot of Mutalisks here. He used to have about 26, now only has 10, and still doing the damage he can. His army in the middle of the map, 156 to 180. ThorZain now in the lead by a lot, and this is not where you want to be, as is Zerg just now getting his Hive Tech up. And that is a very, very, very late Hive, because even after this, he has to warp in his Greater Spire, build Corruptors, and then warp in the Broodlord. Let's just hope that ThorZain doesn't actually attack before this. Now engaging here, big mistake by JulyZerg. There's so many tanks on here. You can actually see that is more tanks than I can count. 15 tanks. Few infestors here, but against that many tanks won't do much. Now 8 corruptors in production, and that Greater Spire just now starting. It takes forever. It takes 100 seconds to morph in. So ThorZain, if he attacks right now, it could be very, very deadly for JulyZerg, but July, the good player that he is, still applies pressure everywhere he can. But ThorZain decides that is it. He is done with that Mutalisk harass. He is going to push out in the middle of the map. A lot of infestors can fungal these Marines. Once these Marines are out, are gone, the tanks are actually very vulnerable to the mutas. One Thor, that is a great addition to the army, since that Thor can deal very easily with the Mutalisks and are not very vulnerable to Banelings. Now, July morphing 7 more Banelings. I guess he feels like he needs to take out all these Marines, and he knows he does. Now, desperate, this Greater Spire, 10 seconds from completion. If he can actually finish this Greater Spire and get a lot of Broodlords out, he will be able to save this. And where are the Corruptors? There are 8 Corruptors that will morph into 8 Broodlords. There they go. Once these Broodlords hatch, only 34 seconds away, he will be able to clean this up. He is losing his 5th base actually in the process though. And ThorZain will be in a load of trouble once these come out. They are almost done, 3/4 of the way. Only 2 Thors, and they are not very good against Broodlords. There is no Viking on the field, so July just barely getting these out. Now we'll actually push this out, and ThorZain will lose all these Marines, all these tanks, all these stores. Now July just engaging. He should actually retreat all these units. No point in losing those. He should target that Thor. That Thor will try and run away. All these tanks will die to the rain of broodlings that is coming down. Now ThorZain not even producing any Vikings yet. A lot of ghosts coming out though. Very wise, since there are a lot of broodlords and infestors on the field. Ghosts can EMP the infestors and snipe the broodlords. They do 100 damage against bio, so that is almost a 2-shot on these broodlords. But I don't know if he's going to be able to have enough to deal with 8 broodlords, and JulyZerg not producing anything at all, so his full attention is now just on this army. I feel like he should just expand here again, because if this fails, he has no answer after this. Now, Broodlord's a bit out of position. All these ghosts sniping away. July losing 4 Broodlords, and I don't know if that's going to be enough for ThorZain to actually deny. Now, July just walking in the main base. Still 5 Broodlords on the field, raining those broodlings on ThorZain, and he GG's, well plays. And we are going into game 2 right after this, so stay tuned.